matter. It really doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Jay
No.
Matta. Hey, everybody, Rex Bear Elite Project. How the heck are you? Beautiful day today here in Southern Colorado. And I have an excellent guest with us, Jay Matta. And we're going to talk about it because it does matter. I think it matters. Jay and I have been doing work behind the scenes. We're pretty good friends and we're building an awesome relationship together. And we are working with Sheldon Moore right now. We just uploaded a 5-hour presentation on Gnostic TV. We've also worked something out to where if you go to gnostictv.com, you actually get free membership and you'll get access to a plethora of videos and content that is incredible. So Jay is, I would call him the multi-dimensional manifester. He can see through literally tapping into energies that we don't necessarily see with our physical eyes or hear with our ears. And so Jay's done a remarkable job tapping into these energies and able to funnel them through this 3-dimensional plane that we can explain somewhat. So first of all, Jay, how are you doing?
I'm good, my brother, and thank you for that. I love it. That's beautiful. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, man. And so for the audience that doesn't know a lot about you or maybe anything about you, just a quick introduction about who you are and where you are right now.
For a limited time, if you jump on over to gnostictv.com, you're going to get free membership. Check out the podcast Sheldon Moore and myself did. It's almost 5 hours. Use the code Leak Project, get 50% off.
I'm not channeling anybody, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. And if people have watched my stuff before, they probably realize that I'm not one of those mile wide and an inch deep kind of guys. That I know this stuff. I really do. So these past civilizations were practicing higher teachings. So it has the mathematics for predicting eclipses. Mathematics for predicting eclipses till infinity. And the Kala Chakra states that our actions increase 1,000 times Sangyam. They can help grab that energy, that Buddha nature. It's like imagine two orbs merging. They kind of merge the two orbs. And they pull the energy down. That's why there's those 3 extra channels. They pull that energy down and they rotate it and they pull it back up again. And they become enlightened and have all these abilities and stuff. And that's just not true. That's not the way it works. You can't expect an event to enlighten you in the extent if you haven't done any of the techniques or anything. There are events that can enlighten you. There's cosmic.
Yeah, so I'm co-founder of Gnostic TV, as you mentioned, and who I am and why I do what I do is I learned I'm 53, man, and I really pretty much in my early 30s I had a really successful financial services business, but I realized pretty quick I'm like, there's mysteries in life and I got to explore them. I don't think I'm defined by selling health insurance and life insurance. You know what I mean? There's got to be something else there that's going to keep me entertained, right? So I went on the journey. At that point in time, the internet was happening, right? So I also realized that I have to understand how to do business on the internet. So we did. We went in there. We started a show called Spiritually Raw, which evolved into the Gnostic TV. But yeah, man, I who I am is really is what I believe in. And I get from the woo-woo point because I'm not like that either. I'm very pragmatic of how I look at things. I'm like, I don't know if there's a unicorn or something that's going to show up or something in there, whatever. I mean, everybody's stream of con, whatever gets you through the day is what I say. But I do believe that there is a dimensional energy force that we go to that does teach us how to live here where we're at right now. So, for example, we can all pretty much agree we can touch and feel ourselves right now, right? There's something out there in the ether, call it 3rd dimension, 5th dimension. My question always to people is, well, who came up with the numbers, right? That's more, but at the end of the day, there's something there that, we look at and I've been able to over this time, been able to really feel like I go to these places, get the downloads, and it's like an instructional manual, Rex. It gives me my play-by-play for the day so I can, and I do that for a couple of reasons. Number one is I do realize that, we are on this planet Earth. There's rules of engagement, food, water, money, house over your head, all that stuff that comes along with it. And you have to learn how to do it. And then I've also realized that there's people that things come very effortlessly to them, right? So what are they tapping into? What are they tapping into? What thought process have they aligned with that allows them to feel like, for a lot of us, feel like, well, they're not even working hard and they're getting that. What do they do? So a lot of that is really searching out there, putting the universe to the test, if you want to call it that. So that's really been what I've been doing, is putting the universe to the test. And I don't come from a space of, well, the universe will provide for me, or, the universe will give you, or, the universe can only, I come from, well, no, my own belief system, my own faith is I'm the universe, and I'm going to tell the universe what I want. So that's really where I'm testing out. And so over this time, I've noticed that when I take that kind of assertive action with my universe is where I start to see manifestation come in my life. Versus just saying, okay, well, I'd like this, or I'd like that, or you know what I mean? I'm like, no, hey, listen, we got to do this. Let's get you, universe. Let's get you to behave. And this is what I need. This is what I'm looking for. So I had that kind of level, call it universe, God, spirit, whatever that may be.
It's interesting. It reminds me of the Hermetics, especially from like the 17 and 1800s. In Europe, you would see the body as the outline of the universe, and different Hermetic principles. Actually, you can follow these Hermetic principles way before the 16 and 1700s around the world, actually. But just in particular, I'm thinking of some specific grimoires and imagery of the human body being the archetype of the universe. And the way that you describe that, like you're the universe, and so you're asking the universe.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as the commander of my universe. You know what I mean? I'm like, you universe, you work for me. You know what I mean? It's like you. I'm going to tell you what I want. Where I want. I say that to people just because a lot of people are like, well, I wonder what the universe has in store for you. Not a damn thing. You have everything in store for the universe. And if you try to flip your thought pattern, and this is how I do. If I flip my thought patterns from thinking from the universe has nothing in store for me, I have something in store for the universe. I'm controlling that show. And when you start to think like that, or when I start to think like that, that's when I notice these manifestations that I think have come to real life systematically, almost exactly how I play it out in my mind. So it's just more for me. It's more of a thought process, and it's really understanding. Like, look, you know what? We're living in this land, and I'm going to figure out the best, most ethical, strategic way to live here, right? And I'm not taking anything for chance.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So have you studied Hermetics or any of the, like, I guess you could say magic with a K?
I've interviewed on it a lot on the show, because we've interviewed probably like 3,000 people. So my education on it is really more along the lines of, when I interview people. But I got to tell you, man, when I go to these places is where I get my downloads. Often I wake up in the morning, I'm like, how did I know that? You know what I mean? Like, how would I have gotten this information? How would I known this and that? I mean, and that's what's really continually keeping me very inspired, keeping me very, feeling like, I'm pretty much creating my own land here, if you would, because I realize that something or someone or whatever that may be, whatever we all call it, is giving me information. And I know it's not from me, because there's no way I could have known this stuff. And I'm not saying necessarily from a psychic point of view, or I'm doing this. It's just something's there. I wake up in the morning and I go to this place, and boom, I get this information, almost like a roadmap. You know what I mean? Do this, 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 and this throughout the day, and this is what it'll look like for you.
I'm even more impressed with that, because a lot of what we're talking about here and what you're describing connects to some very high level Hermetics and wisdom that is like taught through certain mystery schools and just through your own initiation process. If you go out and look for this information, I'm not connected to like the Freemasons or anything like that. So, but I've studied a lot of what they study in the mind over matter symbols, and the dream state is so powerful. So I think that's really cool, because as far as dimensions go, I was just kind of poking fun earlier using that as a metaphor, but I have talked to people that seem to be like they're talking about the fifth dimension, but in reality, that's this dimension. You could create that here. That's not a different dimension. It's just like a perception of a better reality. So they'll use the term fourth or fifth or sixth dimension, or some higher number connected to a dimension. There clearly are different levels of dimensions. So I really like the way that you're describing this. And so for somebody like yourself that wakes up and you have this vision or you have this download, is it just the mindset? Is it your mindset throughout the day that you think gives you that? Are you questioning? Are you asking questions during the day that you want to get those downloads?
So, you know how people say, like, you know, like in different religions, they say, well, you know, you have a relationship with God, you have a relationship with spirit. I have a relationship with whatever this is. So my relationship with whatever this is, I trust implicably. You know what I mean? Like I'll say, for example, like if I want to do a business venture, I'll be like, what should I be doing here? Boom, instinct goes. You know what I mean? It just funnels in through that. So I've just developed a trust with that. And to see it measurable. So, for example, like if I get an idea, or whether it be, you know, if I get an idea that I want to try out, I'm not going to just sit there and, well, I'm going to try it and execute it so I can see pretty quickly. You know what I mean? And that allows me to test that source where it's coming from, if you would, to see if that's real. And that continually allows me to go on. I think we're, you know, if I may say it in this way, Rex, where people tend to get stuck, they'll get the inspiration, let's call it, whatever that may be, but the action part of it is in neglect, meaning that they don't always take the action. So it's important to take the action to some degree to see if you're even onto something. Because I never found another way to be able to figure out if that's right or not. You know what I mean? And if that's from a pure place or not. So, but yeah, throughout the day, I'll say stuff like, let's do this. You know what I mean? And, you know, I talk to what appears to be myself often, but I'm talking a lot. You know what I mean? Because I'm really, to me, it's vibration. I'm vibrating with that. Let's do this. Okay, we got to go on this, and I'm thinking like that. And it, look, in my existence, it works. You know what I mean? And I can't speak for everybody, and I never tell people, wait. You know, I always tell people, listen, whatever gets you through the day, do it. Just don't hurt anybody and be cool. You know what I mean? But, you know, for my existences, that's what works for me. I get very connected with myself. My personal view on it is I believe that there's multidimensional aspects of myself, meaning that there's a super abundant Jay out there. There's a super healthy Jay out there. There's a super spiritual Jay out there. So what I'm doing is, like, if I feel like I want more health and wellness, I'll be like, all right, healthy Jay, how do we tie this piece together? And I notice when I connect with myself that way, I get resolved very quickly. I feel better. Same with abundance, same with spirituality, same with whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish. I go to the version of myself multidimensionally that I feel is already doing or has already accomplished that in some place somewhere. And that's how I look at it. So for me, it's you know, again, that's how I quantify this concept of the universe. For me, I got different parts of me going on, and me, I'm this version of me, wherever I'm at, is the master of ceremonies, and I need to bring in the better parts of me when I need them, you know, and they're at my disposal. And so that's how I treat them. Come on, buddy, we got to do this. You know what I mean? And that's it. And I notice when I do that, the thing about it is, it's rapid resolve. I'm able to quantify it and be like, wow, I do feel better. I do that. That was the answer. You see what I mean? So that's where I'm able to, going through that experience for probably 5 years, pretty disciplined on that, as I've really learned to trust that.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. It reminds me also of neurolinguistic programming a little bit. And
Yeah.
as far as the mindset. So you envision something, you put your thoughts and actions into that archetype. As you said, there's different J's out there. So you're like tapping into that J archetype and pulling that energy together. That's pretty cool. I like
Yeah.
it.
And also too, and this is, someone brought it to my attention, but it's like, you know, and I really am like, you know, when stuff happens in life, you know, everybody has something, like nobody's immune to crisis in their life, right? Nobody is, right? So, but when it happens, you know, there's not a lot of, it happened. Like, so what do I do now? Like, I learned from it briefly, but then I move. I keep moving, and the key is to keep moving. Where I see a lot of people in my life too, you know what I mean, and different, you know, they just get stuck in that. Why did that happen? What did that do in there? And they get stuck in that. When they start doing that, they're literally chanting a mantra to keep that form of manifestation, i.e. negative manifestation, continually happening in my life. Why is this happening? What happened? Oh my God, and then it happens again. Oh my God, it comes in threes. Oh my, you know what I mean? All this stuff. Oh, it's yeah, now it is. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's all of that stuff. So, you know, again, for me, living life, who I am is to be in perpetual motion. I mean, the world's moving, so I'm going to move. You know what I mean? The world is not going backwards, so I'm not going backwards. So I'm doing what I feel like I need to do as a human being in this body, spirit, and this human experience, Rex, to keep in perpetual motion. You know, to stay in fluid with the universe. And again, for me, I feel like it, you know, it works for me. You know,
Well, it looks like it's working for you.
can't speak for everybody else. And like I said, if people, I tell people, I interviewed enough people. I said, look, you know what? If you feel like you're the galactic commander of some sort of battleship at night, listen, man, God bless you. You're having a great time in it. Whatever gets you through the day, because I can't always judge what's in one person's stream of consciousness, because there's no way to really understand who's getting a download from who and why they're getting it and if they're getting it. So at some point in time, we just have to, say that's just maybe unique to them. Maybe they're just entitled to that stream of consciousness for them. So maybe for them it is real. And if it is, listen, wish them well. As long as they're not hurting anybody, they're doing good.
If they're lying intentionally, that's where I draw the line.
That's where you draw, and when they are. I mean, I tell you, like I know when they are too. Like there's a sense, like when someone's like talking, like if there's something, they're almost like kids. They're like almost nervous about it. But when they're lying, it's like you can get a sense. I mean, I think enough. I mean, you've done this enough times. You know the vibes, and it's like it's just you do that, and then that's where you're just like like there's a lot of people out there, like I see the person, like there's a lot. Oh, I see someone around you with glasses and gray hair. Do you know an elderly figure? Oh, gosh. You know what I mean? It's like, of course, yes, of course you do. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that. And it's like, I'm like, look, if you're going to do that, try to come up with a different angle. You know what I mean? Something like that's a old grandfather that passed away that has glasses. You know what I mean? So, and there's a lot of that going on. And I understand people are trying to learn their art. But along the way, I think that, it would be more authentic if people, as they're trying to learn their art like that, or trying to come up with things, that they're pretty open about it. Hey, I'm figuring this stuff out. You know what I mean? And tell me if I'm on. Tell me if I'm on. Versus saying I am on and I am an expert, where everybody knows that you're not. You're just reading out of a playbook. You know what I mean? So I think people respect more of that, because we're just spirits really trying to get through this and trying to understand the channel. People will validate. They'll let you know if you're on or not.
You're really good at reading people also, Jay. And one of the things I was going to talk to you about, with all the shows that you've done and the interviews and people that you've talked to, where do you see the world today? Like in a summary, are we overall, maybe not us in particular, maybe not, but as a whole, are people going down the right path, or are people making the right decisions? Is the world going the right direction, or are there some tweaks that might need to be made?
I feel like the world's going in the right direction. I feel people get diverse, if you would. So, I mean, the world's going in the way the world goes, right? I mean, it is what it is. But I feel people in and of itself are going in different directions, meaning that they're losing a sense of accountability for them and the ones that rely upon them the most. They're passing over things, like, for example, like election times come up. There's a savior comp. Oh, well, that guy will help me out. I'll be good there. All that stuff. And I'm not saying that won't or will not happen. But again, to rely on something like that may not necessarily be the unhealthiest thing. So I think a lot of people have gotten it, whether it be the media, whether it be whatever it's going to be, have gotten to a point of where there's a lot of, I don't want to call it complacency, but there's, at the end of the day, someone's going to save me kind of complex. You know what I mean? So there's almost like I got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. There's a lot of that going on. And so that in turn, I quantify that as really being stuck in, if you would, the third dimensional or the traditional matrix. Then there's the parts of like, I'm taking care of my own stuff. You know what I mean? I'm swimming out to my own ship. And listen, I'm not worried about anybody else. Listen, for me, I look at everything as entertainment purposes only until someone shows me different. You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it, right? So then there's that. And then I believe that's the multidimensional aspect of it. I think it's a choice that people will make along the way. Some people will make it. Some people won't make it. I think we don't judge them if they don't make it. I think we don't. Again, this is only my personal view. I doing enough shows. I think that I don't get into it's not my job to save the world. I have a show. I bring on people, and they share information, and I publish that, and that's pretty much where I feel like I do my diligence, and I tell people, listen, take what you want and throw the rest away, right? But really, I would say the world's where people are going into a place of where they just can get stuck. But people want to break out, but they're relying on someone to break them out, and understanding that they're the ones who can break themselves out. There's still too much reliance, and it's interesting. In 2024, people are still generally shackled by a belief system that I still got to be a good little boy or girl. You know what I mean? I still got to be this. I still got to be very compliant upon this. I better not raise my voice. I better not question this, or I might get in trouble, or I won't get to go this, or I'll get fired and stuff like that. There's still a lot of that. So there's a lot of fear of the unknown. So for me, I'm like, what do we have to lose? We ultimately, in my personal view, Rex, is I personally believe that, man, ultimately, I don't know what's out there. Ultimately, I don't know where we end up at the end of the day. All I can say is we speculate like everything else. And, that's what keeps, I think, a lot of us mentally healthy, to at least talk through it about what this existence is like, right? But to just say, this is what I watched on something, so this is how I internally act, and I better be good, because if I don't be good, then I won't be treated well wherever I go, or this will be that. You don't know that. You don't know that. So I tell people, I'm like, look, let's act as if. Why not act as if we are the source? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying diminish any faith or anything like that, but so why not act as if we are the source, we are the power, and we are in playland, and we go. We go full throttle and master this. And I think if you the mind process of really embracing that, I believe, is what starts to just open up more and more of your spiritual side, because then it's the trusting of you and your relationship with the universe. When you start to say, this is going to happen, someone's going to come in, or all my debts are going to be wiped off, or, you know what I mean, everything's this, or checks for all my friend. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but then you get complacent and you lose connection with your spirit. You lose it. You lose. It's almost like you lose the radio dial, if you would, direct connection, because someone else has tuned you in on their level.
Right on, man. Absolutely. That's super cool. And do you look at cycles as natural? Like, for example, it seems as if you read through a lot of the ancient texts and scriptures and a lot of the clay tablets, even, like when the gods created us to do the work for them, and now we're making artificial intelligence and robots to do the work for us. Right. And then you've got like super rich people that say, oh, there's too many people. And then those same rich people are like, but we're going to have 100 billion humanoid robots by 2045. What is your take on that? Cycles? I mean,
I think it's all perception. So for me, it's okay. I'll give you an example. I live in Florida. I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And believe me, so what are we known for? Hurricanes and stuff like that. People call me when there's a hurricane because I don't even watch the stuff, man. Because it's like, for me, it's like being on like an acid trip or a mushroom trip or something. There's just too much going on. At some point, you got to close your eyes so you can get something. You know what I mean? And I think that that's where a lot of people just get caught up on it. There's just too much information overload, and that's going to affect your psyche. So I will tell you what I purposely have done for 4 years. I haven't watched the news. I haven't really watched, I watch regular shows and stuff like that, but I don't watch news, kind of like local news. I don't watch anything like that. I don't watch anything like, oh, did you hear this is going to happen? And you know what I mean? Listen, I figure if something really awful is going to happen, I feel like I'm a good enough person where someone will knock on my door. You know what I mean? Say, we better go, or there, you know what I mean? So cycles, I think we create the cycles is what it is. We in turn as a human spirit create a cycle as a collective. Okay. So someone says, okay, there's this, we're fighting for this war. Next thing you know, a bunch of people, yeah, we are fighting. It's like a domino effect. We continually start to create these cycles. So, and I think that's just going to continually to go on throughout history, because it seems like it always has. I think we're more aware of it now because of the internet, because of technology. But I don't think it's any different than what we've experienced before. It's just that everything's much more publicized. So for us to quote unquote break the cycle is to not be in the cycle. You know what I mean? Is to just make a decision to stand outside the cycle for a minute, so you can objectively look at what's going out in the cycle, and then determine if you want to jump back in it or not, if it makes sense. You see what I mean? And then that's how I see these things. You know what I mean? I look at it, because I look at everything like this. Everything's the present moment. Everything's the present moment. Yeah, I can draw from these different selves, but everything's that present moment. Past already is done. I believe I'm the one who's going to write my own future out on this thing. Play it as I go.
Making way too much sense, man. Like, don't watch the news when it stresses you out. Like, first of all, I don't know how people don't get that. And the cycles thing, I find that fascinating. When I say cycle, the universe itself seems to be like the sun is moving through the universe like a sine wave. Like, we're going up and down, and the galactic plane and all these different cycles, etc. But when you said we create our own cycles, and then we we need to be responsible for either creating or breaking or not entering these cycles. I think that that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Don't start the cycle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, you're gonna know. So like the acid indicators are this: do you feel healthy? Do you have enough cash in your account? Do you know what I mean? Are you surrounded with the people you want? Then you know you're out of you're breaking the cycle. When you're in the cycle, generally the cycle is designed to keep you there where you're confused. And I don't mean that as a negative. It is what it is. It's just a cycle. And if you jump into it, you know you're gonna get caught in the cycle and you're gonna experience the energies from the collective in general. And so this is what I believe is a real phenomenon. That's why a lot of times I separate myself from people that I know. For example, if I want to be healthy, I'm not going to hang around a bunch of unhealthy people. If I want to be wealthy, I'm not going to hang around a bunch of broke people. You know what I mean? It's just you have to learn to separate yourself for what you want. These are real energies that connect us. You know what I mean? It's like those are real relationships. Someone, it's like if you want to be abundant, you have to break out of those worlds. And sometimes those aren't the easiest decisions because a lot of those worlds are immediate family for a lot of people, and some of them very close to them. But you know what? If you got something to do in life and you know it and you got a burning desire, sometimes just walk away for a minute and just take a step back and look very pragmatically. You can't make decisions when you're just stuck in it all. You know what I mean? You have to be calm. You know what I mean? You have to be very calm and rational and see what it is so you can make a proper decision. You know, other than that, you're always in reaction mode. You're always in you're reacting. And next thing you know, more diversions are thrown at you when you're in a different mode of looking at it. Then when things do happen to you, you're able to assess the situation very pragmatically, and then you can make your move from there. Other than that, everybody's always in, they're in fight or flight or reaction. And again, that's not judgment. That is just the way that we work towards. And is it the easiest thing to break the cycle? Hell no, it's not. It takes discipline. It takes practice. It takes health and wellness. It takes being, eating properly. It takes being a clear channel. It takes whatever you got to do. I mean, 2024 with listen, I mean, I think we live in a great country, but the stuff they feed us is pretty not, it's questionable, right? So these things are happening. So you got to do what you got to do when you know that there's some conscious decisions made to affect, the way that human psyches perform. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's pretty obvious to most people there. So, just listen. I tell people try to really realize, especially if you're in your what I call accumulation phase of life, which means you're still building yourself, you're building your wealth, you're building, let's say, your retirement, if you want to call it. It would be good to have your head totally straight, not worried about people, what they think about you, that you don't know who they are, and they don't really care what you do anyway. Stop worrying about that. Keep your eye on the prize. Keep your head focused. Keep your connection with you straight. Get to reintroduce yourself to yourself. It's a beautiful thing when you actually get to, and I'm not being funny when I say that. It's like the best experience is like when I got to kind of meet myself again at a different level. I believe there are different versions of myself. You know what I mean? So to get to meet that, reintroduce who you really are, because there's if there's a spirit locked in this body, you got to kind of know what, I'm saying. There's got to be a connection, mind, body, spirit. You know what I mean? You got to figure out who that is and what that relationship with is. Because the chances are that spirit's struggling within here, figuring out what the hell am I doing in here? And, I got to figure out all this stuff. And, well, what did I just experience? And you're the vehicle that's kind of guiding them, if you would, in the skin.
Where are, when you look at politics today versus the way that they were 50 years ago, it seems like it's even more polarized now. Do you think that is it going to become more polarized, or is it going to kind of go back to the older roots 20, 30, 40 years ago?
I think it'll be more polarized, and I'll tell you why I believe that is because I believe we as a society are enabling that behavior. For example, we know when there's conscious things that are happening that shouldn't be happening. For example, we know that it's maybe not the best thing to spend $100 million on doing an investigation on something that never is going to happen to anybody anyway. What could you do better with that $100 million? Maybe feed some people, try that on. But yet, as a society, it's enabled behavior, meaning, oh, did you watch that? Did you watch how they're interviewing the guy on Facebook because he censored everything? What are they going to do to him? Not a damn thing, but how much money did it cost to do that? You see what I'm saying? It's like when you and I believe when as a society we enable that kind of behavior, we should try on maybe thinking we're no longer like, for example, like I've got censored. I mean, I got hundreds of thousands of people, Rex, that we got censored from. I never once looked at myself as a victim. I looked at myself as, you know what? Listen, you know what? Their business. While it sucks, it's still their business. And you know what? They made their decision. It is what it is. I'll build elsewhere. And that's what I did. But at the end of the day, a lot of people look at themselves as victims. I'm saying try on looking at yourself as a willing participant, if you would, in this game. And then see if that changes the way your perception is. Because until that happens, you know what I mean? And you start to say, look, you know what? You guys are just wasting everybody's time. You know what? You're saying the same thing as this person's saying. You're just labeled differently. Until we just understand that that's just what it is, you know, it just keeps going on. So until we want to change that, just accept it for what it is. And for those, and if it's not, just break out of that cycle. You know, let that not affect you. You know what I mean? Just let that not affect you. You know?
You've done a lot of interviews. What is one of the most influential interviews you've done and why?
Wow, I would say that's always a tough one because I learn from every single one of them. I really, really do. And I got into it to really learn from one. I would say the most influential in it, you know what, the most profound interview? I did an interview, I mean, out of everything I learned. And I was talking to the person and the interview was off. It was just off. And so we had to re-record it. And the person said on the other line, a very, very nice person, they said, you know what? Some days just aren't meant to be, and maybe today just wasn't the day. Let's do it again tomorrow. And I just realized that, and then now in my thought process, I'm like, well, maybe today just wasn't that day. So I would say for me, something as simple as that has been very profound. Like instead of being attached to that moment of what is, it's learning the whole psyche. Maybe today just isn't the day. And I think if we all start to realize some days when it doesn't go our way, maybe today just isn't that day. Let's just do it again tomorrow. And it seems to be relaxed to it versus being stuck on that. So I would say probably for me, though that kind of feel, I can't remember. But as far as any one out of about 3,000 people that I've interviewed, I would say it's all been a very collective for me. You know what I mean? To really try to be there. I'm not sure if any one person has really been like, wow, it's all been just an incredible blessing to learn from someone's spirit. And to get in the privilege to get to have conversations with people that are going through a journey that I haven't gone through, and for them to share with us, like, hey, this is what our journey is like in the spirit world. All of it's been pretty profound for me, man. It really has.
Yeah, I definitely put you on the spot there. If somebody was to ask me that question, I don't know if I'd have an answer for the number one either. I could throw some names out there, very influential, many names. Like we just did a great interview with Sheldon Moore, and folks, yeah. I know that you know Sheldon. He's a fan favorite, and it was almost 5 hours. It's going to be available at gnostictv.com, so I am going to leave the link specific. And Sheldon he's always next level, and this one doesn't disappoint either. He also has a book that just came out called The Hidden Teaching, which is an incredible read, and it's really a quick read. You could read this in a day and be enlightened forever. So click that, folks, and there's going to be a 50% discount. So if you click the link, you're going to save 50%, and definitely want to watch it in full. You can download it, and you'll thank me later. So what are your thoughts on? Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, make sure when you click the link, put in the code, last for code. The code is Leak Project.
Yeah, Leak Project. What is your thought on extraterrestrials?
Oh, I love them.
Nice. Okay. So you ever had an experience, or?
I have many out of body experiences. I really do. And, so extraterrestrial is coming from somewhere, right? So I find them to, I call upon. The first time I ever had them was very, very. I literally thought I was dying. It was the most weirdest thing ever. I left my body. These images, these things were there. They were, just different. It was just everything was different, but it was so real. It was not a dream. You know what I mean? It wasn't a dream in its traditional state, and that I knew. So then I thought I was dying, and I was like, oh, this is what that's like. Oh my God, I'm struggling to get back in. And honestly, after I came back, it was that profound for me. It probably took me about 3 years to really reconcile all of that and to struggle with that, because then what happened, it started to happen a lot. a lot more. I would leave my body a lot. But then that's when I started to come back with downloads. And then I started to be like, every time I come back, I feel a little smarter. You know what I mean? I feel like I've got this knowledge that I never knew there's no way I could have ever known it. You know what I mean? There's just no way. And so I believe that's where that come from. I believe there's something that's, creates or taps into us, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, I think that's, I see them here. I mean, like where I'm at right now, it's like, I see them, I see these, either that or they're just some military ship that I've never seen, but I'm in Florida, so we're not far from Air Force bases, so we see a lot of cool stuff. But you can see stuff, you know what I mean? You can see stuff hovering and things like that are just kind of playing around here. So I believe they're out there just kind of looking at us, what their intention is with us. I don't know, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm not here to do it. I'm just to play along. So I figure I'll play nice. I'll play with the rhythm of it. It makes life easy,
Sims 3000. Let's go play Jay.
I don't know. Again, I'm not gonna stress out about things that are out of my control. Why? You know what I mean? I mean, if the ship's going to come down and beam us up or blow us up or whatever, then it's going to beam us up or blow us up. If it's going to love us, it's going to love us. If it's going to destroy us, it's going to destroy us. It's all out of my control. So I'm just, again, in that moment is the most important thing. You know what I mean? I'm not living in fear. I'm not living in anything. I'm just living in the moment and, letting it be. When life happens how it's supposed to happen, it'll be. But, at least I felt like in my mind, I was never a slave to, anything here, mentally.
That's what I'm talking about. That's great, man. So give us some words of wisdom before we finish up this awesome podcast. And thank you for being a bright light in today's world that can sometimes be kind of dark.
Yeah. You got. I would say to everybody, just listen. If you're gonna try something in life, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. You know what I mean? So just whatever you're thinking of trying, try it, do it. If you got any dreams or aspirations, go and do it. Just go and do it. Don't worry about what anybody else says because they don't define you. Don't ever let your past define you. Number one, you have to forgive yourself. Your past is done. Whatever you did in your past, and trust me, everybody's done something in their past that they wish they could take back. But whatever you've done in the past, don't let that define you anymore. I mean, it's done. Hopefully you learn from it and you're a different person. So if you're a different person, you owe it to yourself to forgive yourself from that so you can now live and move on with your life. Well, too many people hang on to guilt. And in an easy way, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. It's done now. You know what I mean? Look at it as a learning experience. It's just done now. Just move on and enjoy this existence. I mean, you don't want to live life. Don't live life with regrets. Live life as if you're a divine being. I mean, and you just need to experience that. Everybody else makes mistakes. Everybody else messes up. I can promise you that. So you're not the only one. So let go of your guilt. As long as you're learning from it and doing better with it, that's all. Ultimately, that's at the end of the day, that's what's going to matter. Be good to people, be cool to people, and watch Sheldon.
Beautiful, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. I would like to comment though on your background. Is that like Hulk smash with Hulk's foot there right by your head? Looks like
it might be. You see that perception? I don't know what dimension that's coming from, everybody, but so my wife picks this stuff out. It's like, we were looking at green screens, and I'm like, so we just decided we'll try this on for a minute. You know what I mean?
It's way better than a green screen because the green screen, look at this, I'm like glitching out. You can kind of.
Well, that's what it was, and then when we have two of us, and April's got blonde hair, so we, the hair and everything like that. And so and it's like we're both weaving in and out with the camera, so we're like this will be a safe bet. Let's give this one a run for a little bit,
People already think I'm artificial intelligence, and then they see this happen, they're like, I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, you're a clone, right? You've never been called a clone, right?
Oh, I've been called a clone. I've been called a reptilian shapeshifter. I've been called much worse. So,
exactly like that. Look at that. Look at the eyes. The eyes are different. The ears are different. Look at that. I'm like,
yeah. You can see him shapeshift right now.
I told you so. Look at him.
He's a part of the secret order. Oh man. Yes, I get paid very well by the CIA here in my garage. You can see they put so much money into my background. It's like, come on, guys, could you pay me a little better? Anyway, so
that's how it works, man. Yeah, man. Listen, brother, I love you, man. Thanks for having me on and bringing me into your world as always.
Thanks, brother. Same here, man. Have a beautiful day and talk to you soon.
Okay, much love. See you.
Be the change you want to see, everybody.
Yeah.